Hi everyone, thanks for joining. So my name's Lauren, I'm one of the marketing officers at OpenAthens, and this is our remote access to library resources with OpenAthens webinar, which will be led by Christos. He's our international sales manager at OpenAthens. Just before I pass over to Christos, there's a few housekeeping things I want to cover with you guys, just so you know what's going on. Just want to let you know that we are recording and we will be sending this webinar out afterwards in a follow-up email, just so you can catch up if you have missed it or if you missed anything in the process. Please can we ask that you keep questions for the Q&A box and then any general queries for the chat box, just because it helps us differentiate between which questions have been answered and which ones we might not have been covered yet. You are muted and we cannot see you, so don't worry about any noise or anything going on in the background. That's all fine. And please can we ask that we keep questions for the very end of the webinar, just so we can go through everything and catch up at the very end again. So I think that's everything from me. I will be in the background, but I'll turn my camera off again. And I'm going to pass over to Christos now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lauren. Good morning, everybody. My name is Christos. I work for OpenAthens. And today I plan to run through a demo of OpenAthens for the library. I'll also just give a little bit of a background to OpenAthens, an introduction before we jump to the demo. So I'd like to start off with the why, how, and what for OpenAthens. Why does OpenAthens exist? So the purpose of OpenAthens basically is to remove barriers to knowledge and connect people to information. And what we mean by a barrier is something that could be as simple as different login screens that could be confusing to the user who is trying to access resources, or multiple usernames and passwords. Users have to remember to access journals and databases on different publishers' websites. So how do we break the above barriers? By providing a robust and reliable getaway between subscription-based content and those who need access to it. And it could be a student, try accessing an article from a journal. It could be a healthcare professional researching the latest information about COVID-19. It can be anyone who needs access to library resources. So what is that we provide? A single sign-on software that enables people to access digital content. So OpenAthens enables users to access digital content through secure, federated single sign-on. So at OpenAthens here, we believe that accessing subscription-based content should be fast, easy, and pain-free. Users shouldn't have to remember many passwords or use any clunky and confusing software. They need fast and easy access to the content their library subscribes to. So the aim is to put information in the right hands so that users can focus on what really matters, whatever that might be. It could be a medical professional accessing vital information, or a PhD student researching content for their thesis. So our value is a number of things that we can bring to your organization. So firstly, we offer a single sign-on experience for end users that increases the use of resources, and that's very important. We found out that the better user experience leads to happy users. And alongside that, you have also got the minimal admin. So with happy users, you're going to have less inquiries and troubleshooting, and that you will have to manage. Also, the interface for OpenAthens, which I'll show you in a minute, has many tools that makes it really user-friendly and saves librarians time. Now, peace of mind, we don't compromise on security. What does that mean? OpenAthens anonymizes user identities to keep your online patrons safe. Also, we provide a statistic and insights module. So we do collect data to show you what users are engaging with, so you can make more informed purchasing decisions and prove the library's value to your organization. I will show you our reporting module later on in the demo, and show you what some of our customers are using these reports for. And lastly, I'm going to let me put that down. Leave the difficult stuff to us. Cloud hosted for scalability and ease of use, OpenAthens is delivered with a software as a service approach, with a 24/7 monitoring and support for peace of mind. Now, OpenAthens, we've been around for around 25 years, and there are over 4,000 organizations across the globe using OpenAthens in order to help their users gain access to content. So there are millions of users using OpenAthens, and there are a few countries only that someone hasn't used OpenAthens to access e-resources. We are not sector specific as well, so we are suited for anyone that needs access to content. Our customers are academic institutions from many countries around the world, medical care providers, hospitals, corporates, government departments, but also public libraries, high schools, and generally any organization that needs access to content. So we know that the authentication landscape can be a very confusing world at times, particularly if you are an end user attempting to navigate journal provider websites. So you probably experienced it yourself when you had users come to you and say, well, how do I log in here? What do I do there? What credentials should I put? Well, what is OpenAthens? What is Shibboleth? So OpenAthens can help make that process far more seamless. So our vision at OpenAthens is to provide the world's most user-friendly access management experience. And that's because we believe that libraries matters so much, especially now in these challenging times. So if we are not helping to deliver content in a way that makes sense to the end user, we quickly can become irrelevant. And the quality of our end users then, the research that they do, is compromised. So what we don't want to do is confuse the end users and drive them to websites like such as Sci-Hub to access content instead of the library's portal. That's a very important point. Now I would like to talk a little bit about the RA21. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this already or looked into it. RA21 stands for Resource Access for the 21st Century. So basically, it's a joint project between NISO and STM. NISO is the National Information Standards Organization, and STM is the Association of Scientific, Technical, and Medical Publishers. So its aim is to promote a standards-based access management system and move on from the outdated world of IP authentication. So the publishers and libraries came to the conclusion that IP no longer works as a way of recognition in today's distributed world. And for more information, you can go to ra21.org or let me know, and I'll send you more information about that project. We have been involved in those conversations as well, and it's clear by talking to these publishers and libraries, especially during the last few months, with more users than ever trying to access digital content remotely, that IP doesn't work as it should be. And so what RA21 is proposing is the adoption of a federated authentication system based on SAML technology. And I'll get into more details about what we mean a federated access. Here on these slides, you can see the next generation technology. So what that means is that following up from RA21 pilot phase, which was completed early 2019, and the recommendation document were published last year, the overall conclusion was that IP should be replaced by SAML authentication in order to provide the most robust, secure, and extensible solution for libraries and researchers. So what I'm showing you here is the difference between OpenAthens authentication and IP recognition. So OpenAthens is based on that SAML authentication method. And SAML technology is purpose-built for authentication. It's down to the individual level. And so we are not just sending an IP address. We are sending other credential of information. It's a much more secure way of exchanging information, basically. So it benefits libraries and end users. How does it do that? Well, users have a better experience when they access content on site, but also remotely as well. And that's very important, as we have seen an increase in traffic from remote users the last few months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. For libraries, some of the benefits are that the users access subscribed content easily, which increased usage, and also they don't go to sites such as Sci-Hub to access e-resources or anywhere else. So another thing that benefits institutions is that librarians don't have to spend time to investigate misuse and try to convince publishers that have shut down access by blocking IP ranges to reinstate access for the whole institution. I remember when I was working for publishers, anytime that there was some kind of misuse, we had to shut down, block the whole IP range. Then the whole institution was out without access for a few days until the librarians went and tried to figure out, where the misuse was coming from. And that's because, IP is a legacy system that offered a solution back then when publishing went from print to online. But as RA21 concluded and pointed out, IP authentication is highly insecure and outdated. Now, it's worth mentioning here that Elsevier has started a pilot project this year to just investigate what it would take to move off IP access and move to federated authentication only for all the resources. So what I'm showing you here is the stages of this project. But again, if you need more information, just let me know and I will send you the link to Elsevier's presentation. It's very informative, and it shows that publishers nowadays are exploring ways to move away from IP and just adopt that federated access method that it's much more secure for pretty much publishers, libraries, and end users, pretty much everybody. Now I would like to talk about a little bit about federated access and what that means and why it's important and why it's better and the benefit it brings to libraries. So the OpenAthens is standards-based using SAML and has a federation at the heart of everything that we do. So what is federated access though? Federated access is the concept where registered publishers and institutions put their metadata in the same place, basically. So this way, publishers and institutions need to establish lots of one-to-one connections that you have to manage. So members of the OpenAthens Federation sign up and agree to policies around the secure exchange of user information or attributes, providing assurances that users accessing content are from the publisher's subscribing organizational customers. Now, this data is encrypted and exchanged in the cloud, adding an additional security layer and ensuring a secure connection between the user and the content they subscribe to. Now, you might say, yeah, but why do we need the federation, for example, to deploy SAML? That's because SAML is not plug-and-play technology. So what I mean is that if you hired, for example, 5 engineers and you ask them to deploy SAML, they would do it in a different way. That's why there is a need for a federation so that everybody agrees to the policies around how they deploy SAML. Now, OpenAthens manages all the connections in the federation, in our OpenAthens Federation. So if something needs to be updated, let's say a security certificate, for example, from Science Direct, then we are able to work with the publisher to have that work completed with a minimal amount of impact. So a single change is made centrally and all federation members benefit, rather than each library managing their own connections and fixing things independently. So that means if you have, for example, a proxy service, if Science Direct or another publisher makes a change, you have to make a change. The library has to make a change. The library has to deal with that configuration file. And by talking to librarians, this is a pain point for them. They allocate lots of their time to make these changes. And we're talking about one publisher, but imagine if you have like 50 or 100 publishers that they make a change. That's a lot of time and cost for the library to administer all these changes. While the OpenAthens Federation continually checks security certificates and conducts regular penetration tests to keep the infrastructure as secure as possible against cyber attacks. So there are many federations in the world, but what makes OpenAthens Federation different? Well, most access management federations are designed and operated for the academic and research community of a specific nation. So the OpenAthens Federation differs in that membership is open to any institution that would like to provide access to resources to their users. So this means that organizations in fields as diverse as healthcare, pharmaceutical research, commercial companies, defense, government organizations can benefit from the same tried and tested access pathways enjoyed by the academic sector, which is important. So the OpenAthens Federation also operates across national boundaries and its capacity as the only international access management federation in the world. So bringing more than 20 years of experience and expertise in federated access to millions of users around the globe. So here you can see many publishers that are part of the OpenAthens Federations. I just have highlighted a few on this slide that you're probably aware of and you might have seen before or working with. And as you probably noticed in the previous slide, we have more than 1,000 publishers that we are working with. Now, OpenAthens as a solution using that SAML technology protocol, it means that we can work with a wide range of services outside of publishers in terms of content. So we are not limited only to journals and databases. OpenAthens partnerships extend into all corners of the library's online ecosystem. So for example, we can connect to your local directory to provide an even better single sign-on experience for your users, which I will demonstrate in a moment. We can also integrate with your virtual learning environment or any other systems out there that you're using. The key thing is that we can connect to anything that speaks that SAML technology that I mentioned before. And that's the important thing. Now, well, that was my initial introduction into OpenAthens. Now we're going to jump into and go into the demo. So what I'm going to first do is show you the end user experience for OpenAthens, and then after that, we are going to jump in and show you the administration area and some of the tools and features available to the library. So bear with me while I close this down. So hopefully now you can see the login screen. for the Clinical Knowledge Network. Now, Clinical Knowledge Network is one of our customers in Australia. They were very kind to allow us to use their account to demonstrate how a user, a healthcare professional from CKN, access resources using OpenAthens. So, well, I'm based here in the UK, so this is going to be a remote access demonstration. And that's very important, especially nowadays that lots of users are accessing content from home or remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the location of the user, though, is not important since the experience is exactly the same no matter where the user is, if they are on site or off site. It wouldn't matter if I was in Australia, it wouldn't matter if it was in Malaysia or Singapore. As long as I have an internet connection and a browser, the experience would be very, very similar, exactly the same. Now, the one key part of OpenAthens is logging in. Now, for OpenAthens to work, your users will have to log in at some stage. Now, we offer two options of login. The first one is that you can use OpenAthens as your directory, which means that you will be creating OpenAthens accounts for your users. And I'll show you later on when we go to demo the administrative portal how you can do that. It's very, very easy, and the portal is very intuitive and very easy to use. Now, this is what CKN has done, and it's very easy and convenient for some libraries to do that, especially when they don't have a local directory. Now, the other option for OpenAthens is that we can connect to your existing directory, and I'll show you again how later on. So the real benefit of that is just that your users don't have to remember a new username and password. So they will use just their existing credentials, the existing institutional username and password. And we can plug it in with your enterprise single sign-on there as well. So it would be a screen that they're used to, and they will be using a username and password they're used to as well. So as you can see here, I have put my username and password, and if I click login here, it could now log me in. And this is when an OpenAthens session starts. So the OpenAthens session is like it's like a token or a cookie, if you like. It will be in this browser now, and it'll stay open for up to 8 hours. And I can access all the content provided to me by CKN. So this is, as you can see, the CKN library page. It's not anything OpenAthens, and you don't see OpenAthens as an end user much. I say that if we do our jobs correctly, the user won't even realize that they're using OpenAthens. So here are some links to various databases, as you can see, journals that they have, and also they have a discovery service as well. So I'm just now going to show you how a user might be trying to access content. So in this case here, I'm going to use the discovery service that they have embedded on this page. It's worth mentioning that this is EBSCO Discovery Service, EDS, but we can also work with a wide range of other library services to help provide the single sign-on experience. Any other discovery services we can connect to. Now I'm going to put a term that a healthcare professional might search for. I click search, and these would bring up the resources available to CKN users. As you can see here, the results page. Then I'll find an article, I can go and look, and I'll find an article I'm interested in, let's say this one, and I click on the link. So I can see here that this article is in the clinical key database, which is an Elsevier's database. So as you can see, I haven't had to sign in. First time didn't have to sign in into EDS as a service. So at this point, again, a user wouldn't probably know they're using OpenAthens. And if you look here at the URL at the top here, when I click the clinical key, you might see, you'll see an OpenAthens link and how the authentication worked for a tiny nanosecond. So here OpenAthens authenticates me, and it said to Elsevier who I was, where I'm from, and Elsevier checked that CKN has a subscription to clinical key, and it said, okay, you can access this article. And you can see here, I logged in, and I can read the article, or I can jump to any section that I want. Now, I would like to point out at this point that I have also logged in into my own personal account with Elsevier that I have with Clinical Key. So one of the benefits of OpenAthens is that by using that SAML technology, it allows you to work with personalization where it's offered on publisher sites. Now, if I was using a proxy system, I would have to log in again in order to have access to my personal account. And that would happen with a different set of credentials. So instead, I have actually been authenticated into my account automatically, and I can access the content. Here you can see I can go here, save content. I've been here before. I saved that content, and it's very important in a sense that we've been talking to users, and we found out that that personalization feature is important to them because they start the research, on the go, or when they are in the library. They want to save some content and then go home and continue, or go to the library again and continue their research. So OpenAthens offers that feature, and that improves the user experience as well. So it makes sure that the user don't lose some interesting content, interesting articles that they have come across previously, and they have saved them. And we make sure that they don't have to worry about that, and we make it as seamless to them as possible. Now, I'm going to access some other resources to show how easy and seamless that can be for your users. So if I go back to the results page, click this, and here CKN, they have put some very popular databases. So I just want to show you how easy it is to go to any of those databases and without having to put in any credentials. So let me try to open them in another tab. This is the Australian Medicine Handbook. I'm gonna open Micromedics, gonna open Therapeutic Guidelines. Now let's see. So for example, if I go to Australia Medicine's Handbook, I know that I've logged in automatically. You can see in the top right hand here that I've been recognized. Australia Medicine's Handbook, they know that I'm coming from Queensland Health, and I've logged in without the need to put my, any credentials. So that's the same with Micromedics. You can see that I can, look for any content that I want. I can go to the drug interactions or diseases or toxicology. It didn't ask me to put any different username and password, or any other credentials. Again, this is the same with this small database, therapeutic guidelines. Again, toxins, a small database from New Zealand. You can see it logged me in automatically. They know who I am, that I'm coming from Queensland Health Department. And that's a very, very easy and seamless as a user experience. Now, if you remember, before we talked about federated and not federated resources, and it's worth mentioning that by using OpenAthens, you make sure that the experience for the end users remains the same. So what I mean is that some of the databases that I accessed here were federated resources, but some were proxy. That doesn't matter for the user. The user doesn't see any difference. The experience is exactly the same. You didn't see any extra step. For example, if when I logged into the federated resources, or when I logged into the proxy resources. That's one of the benefits of using OpenAthens. Now, I showed you when a user start their journey in the library portal, but what happens if a user start their search outside of the library in the institutional portal? We already know that many users start their research in place like Google Scholar. So let's see what happens. Let's pretend I'm a user and I go to Google to find information about, let's say, a COVID-19 article. Let's see what happens. Let me put let's say I'm looking at the latest information and I'm trying to find it in Google. So I find that article and I click the link. So it's at this stage, Science Direct doesn't know who I am or where I'm coming from. So I have to sign in. So I click sign in. You can see the OpenAthens logo here, and I click in, and that takes me straight to the article. So because I logged in previously, as you remember, then I didn't have to put my credentials. It recognized me, carried through the personalization I talked to before. It knows that I'm from Queensland Health Clinical Knowledge Network. And then I can go and save my searches and content. So if you were using a proxy service, again, you would have hit a wall here. So it's what you benefit from OpenAthens is that seamless experience, and that the user gets to the content that they are looking for without hitting these barriers that I mentioned before. But I can show you, for example, if I didn't log in, let's say we go to another publisher that I haven't logged in. So you can see here, if I log in, but I don't have a session running, so I have to click institutional login. And again, then it will take me to here, and I can put the institution I'm from. Let's say that I'm a student from Reading University here in the UK. So you can see, you can click, and they can take me to Reading University. And if I was a student, I would put my username and password, and I could log in there, and it would take me back to the publisher's website. So I don't have an account for at Reading University, but it's just to show you how a user, what to do to log in and carry on their research, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you around the end user experience. So the most important thing to remember, take away from that, is that the user journey is the same no matter if the user is based on site or off site. So users also have a consistent experience when they start their research outside the library's portal. And that increases the usage and engagement. Otherwise, the users get very frustrated, and then they go to places that they shouldn't go. And all this money that you spend to subscribe to content, go to waste if the users go to places like SciHub, for example, or other websites to find information. So the only thing that a user needs is access to internet and a browser, basically. Now I'm going to close that down, and I'm going to go to jump in and show you the admin area. So bear with me as I log in. Right. So at this point, also, I would like to say that OpenAthens is a fully hosted product. There is nothing to install locally on your systems, and this helps to make sure that there is very little IT involvement in the running of OpenAthens, which saves you time and money. So it's fully supported. So should you have any queries, you can reach out to us, to our support desk, and we can help with those issues. There's also no worries about updates. Every time you log in, you will have the most up-to-date version of OpenAthens. So hopefully you can see with me. So hopefully you can see the admin area of OpenAthens. And this is a demo account, so that we can play around a little bit. And then for the statistics, I'll show you some live accounts so that you can get an idea of the benefits of our reporting module. So I will show you just briefly what you can do in the admin area. But bear in mind that when a new customer subscribes to OpenAthens, you don't have to worry about anything. They are assigned an implementation specialist to help you through the setup process. And I can share with you afterwards more information, or our onboarding guide that highlights the step-by-step process. Now, as a librarian, one of the first things that you would want to do with OpenAthens is add some users to your OpenAthens system. And as I mentioned before, there are a couple of ways to do that. So the most common way, the best solution for your end users and yourself, I would say, is to connect OpenAthens to your existing local directory. Now, the benefits of this is that your users will use their credentials that they already have, whether that be university ID, a company ID and password. So a username and password that they're used to access all of your institutions' other services, and that will be used for OpenAthens as well for the library resources. And the most crucial thing here is that you get that true single sign-on that I showed you earlier. So if they log in into your institution or intranet, they will automatically start an open session as well. Now the other way that I will show you later is creating OpenAthens accounts, and this happens when institutions don't have a local directory or they don't want to use their local directory. Again, you can do both as well. It's not either or. We have some customers that they use their local directory, and but also they go and they create some OpenAthens accounts for some particular group of users, let's say walk-in users or alumni, so that they have them separate from that local directory connection. So how do you connect to the local directory? How do you make that connection? Well, you can see here some tabs, and that connection is done here from the management tab. So you can, if I click on here and connections, you can see that, and then I can go add, you can see some pre-made connections here. ADFS is popular, is Microsoft. That's very common, but you can see other connections, pre-made connections as well. So a lot of them use SAML 2.0, and that enables to work with a huge variety of directory. I'm not going to set up one here, but you could, if you wanted to make a connection, you could click, for example, ADFS, click configure, and then you would be asked for the metadata of that directory, and that would populate the connection. So that might look a little bit complicated. So I would say that this is one bit where the IT are involved, but there's no need to worry about. Our implementation specialist will communicate with your IT to do the setup, and it could be as straightforward as it can be. It can be done over the phone or by a few email exchanges. So once that connection is up and running, let me close that. It will look like that. And just one thing that I would like to bring to your attention is that at this point you might want to think about attributes, and what we mean about attributes is information that you might have on your users outside of the normal, for example, first name, last name, and email address that you can see here. So if you are an academic institution, you may want to release to us the course your students study, faculty. In another organization might be the job role. You might want to release attribute of the alumni, if there are international students, different campuses, etc. If you have that information and you can release it to us, then you can use OpenAthens functionality of the reporting module to a really granular level. And I can show you what I mean by that when I show you the reporting module. And by doing this connection, you can make, of course, the whole process really automated. So when that connection is live, once your users start logging into OpenAthens, if you go to Accounts tab, they would appear here in the local directory on the right. So here we have some users, that directory. Also, it's worth mentioning that we don't just take the whole directory and plug it into OpenAthens. It's only the accounts that are actually going to use the service that will appear with OpenAthens. Now, if I were to go to one of the accounts, I just want to show you how secure that is. If you can see, I can't change anything here. And that's because it's on that directory level, so you have to change it at that local directory level for it to then be passed through OpenAthens. So if you don't have to worry if a user leaves your organization that you have to delete their account. Once they left that directory, they will also no longer have access to resources via OpenAthens. But one thing that you can do, though, is disable that account. And that's very important when you have some misuse going on. So you can come here and quickly disable the account. That relates to what I said before about publishers blocking IP addresses and cutting off access to many users at once. So with OpenAthens, the benefit is that you don't have that problem. If a misuse is detected, only the account suspected is disabled. We can disable that account. And as a librarian, you can see that account. You have visibility of that account, and you can investigate further what is going on. If you have like 4,000 accounts, and that account, is guilty for misuse, that's only that account is going to be blocked. So that's very important, and it saves you as a librarian lots of time rather than when you are having access via IP. You try to find out which person did the misuse. So another thing that you can do here is that you can manually assign permission sets. You can do that here automatically or manually. And what we mean by permission sets is that the content that you don't want accessible by all your users. So this is a good way to restrict access to a specific group of people. So let's say that you have a small group of engineers, for example, that you want them to access Science Direct, and you don't want to purchase an institutional wide subscription for the whole university. So OpenAthens gives you that ability to restrict access to only that small group of users. So all you have to do is that, go here, you can see Science Direct, for example, and you can tick the box to restrict the access. And you can create as many permission sets as you want. It's very easy to create. So that is making that directory connection, and that's how those users are managed there. But as I said, if you don't have a user directory, a local directory to connect to, you can use our OpenAthens directory, and that's what CKN do. So in fact, in that case, you just go to accounts, add account, personal account. You can populate, you can choose a username. You can expire that account, which is very useful. And then you can send an email to the user to get a link to activate their account. I'm looking at the time now, and I see that we don't have much time, so I'm gonna rush through to show you just the resources tab, and then jump into the reporting module, because I want to leave some time for questions. So the resources that you have, your users now, either local accounts or OpenAthens accounts. So what the next step that you need to do is that to go to the resources and assign the resources, allocate, as we say, the resources that we have in our catalog. So we have a catalog under the resources tab, and this is where you would find the resources, and you would have to make them enable to your OpenAthens accounts. So when you're moving to OpenAthens, we would ask for your resources list, And then during the setup, we will go and ask, the publishers, we will tell them that you're moving to OpenAthens and that they will have to make a change on their end so that they can accept that OpenAthens as an authentication method. So you can see here some of the, you may have noticed some of the resources are, have this proxy, logo here. That means that these resources are not federated, because although our preferred route is federated access, there are some publishers out there that they don't accept that method of authentication. There's no problem though, there's nothing to worry about. We in OpenAthens offer a proxy service and our own managed proxy service as well. So you can, in the catalog, you can see which resources are proxy and which resources are not. And as I mentioned before, there's no really difference in the user experience. As I showed when I did the demo before, the user clicks a link and they authenticate, no matter if the resource is federated or proxy. That's not a problem. So you come here, let's say that you want to allocate these resource 1, 2, 3 library. You click allocate it. You choose the permission set for that resource. And then, for example, some of our customers use, a default option. So you can click there, or you can allocate like chemistry stuff, alumni, whatever you wanna do regarding that resource. And then also you can go to permission sets from here. You can see that we have some permission sets. If you want to create another one, you can click add and you can give it a name. And then what you have to do is that just put in the resources here and the users to that permission set. So let me now jump into a live account to show you the reporting module. I'll go to the CKN again, so you can see a live account. So there are a couple of ways that you can go to CKN to the reporting module. Let me click. So you can either do it from the statistics or you can do it from here. So if I click here, you can see the dashboard, and you might think that you might find it that it's very similar to Google Analytics, and that's correct. We wanted to do it that way because lots of people are familiar with that design. So we have, excuse me, bits of information here: top resources, total authentications, total accounts, and a little heat map that shows you where the access is coming from. So because this is an Australia site, most of the access is coming from Australia, but you can see in other parts of the world where users use the service. Here on the left, you have this data explorer. So it's mainly this tab here shows you data and information about the account. So you can go here to interrogate and see the totals, for example. You can see the account type, and you can see authentications, and you can see usage. And also you can see successful authentication, but also the failed ones and why they failed. This is, for example, because of the password, or is because that account expired. Now, what do these lines mean? It's important to separate those data points in a sense that this one, this bold line shows the number of dedications in a given time. So for example, Wednesday, 1st of July, you had 15 of the dedication. That's how many times users have dedicated in the service. But here, the same day, that's the dotted line shows the unique users. So we can see that there are only 7 unique users. And that's very important when you negotiate with publishers. You have conversations with them about the subscriptions, because you may have here, it might show you that you have hundreds of hits, for example. But if that dotted line shows, for example, 2, it means that only 2 people logged in many times. So when you negotiate a subscription, you need that data to understand how many people use that particular subscription, that particular resource. And then you can go and say to the publishers, for example, that I don't want a wide institution-wide subscription. I want only for 5 people, 5 researchers, for example, and you can save some cost there. So if we go then to usage, we can see usage by resource. Let me clean it up a little bit. So you can again play around with the granularity. You can put different dates. That's up to you totally. You can put any resource you want to see, but also remember when we talked about the attributes that you can release to us, depending on what you want to release to us, then you can have that reportable and you can see more granular data. So for example, what CKN did is that they put the job role, for example, as an attribute. So if we see, for example, that the most powerful users are nurses and midwife, right? But if I change and I put the Australian Medicine's Handbook as a resource to see the usage, I can see that the pharmacists are the most heavy users, for example. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is highly customizable. So other services, they offer reporting modules, but the benefit of OpenAthens is that you can be as creative as you want to be. I'll show you what I mean about that. This is how CKN, what CKN did regarding the reporting module and what attributes they wanted to be reportable. But if I go and if I go to another university, for example, in the States, Millersville University, they passed us different attributes. So when I go to the usage, I can see, for example, a breakdown by major. So you can see here, that the nursing, for example, students are heavy users, or breakdown by minor, or all the way the breakdown by individual user. But this again is something that I talked about, the anonymity of the users. The Millersville University passed us the attribute so that we can report on individual user, but you can see here a number. You can't see the actual first name or surname or any data that it's identifiable. And again, that's what Millersville University wanted to do. Other universities, other customers, they passed us different attributes that they wanted to report. So it's really up to you to decide what you want to release to us. But OpenAthens gives you that benefit to make these reports customizable. And of course, you can schedule these reports monthly, weekly, or daily. You can send them to you as a librarian or to you and your other colleagues. You can put the emails. You can save these reports. You can see here some reports of this university saved and things like that. Now I'm gonna stop here because I'm running out of time, and I'm not sure if we have any questions that anything that you would like me to go through. Lauren, I don't know if we had any questions or.
Yeah, we've got one so far, and it just says, I would like to ask, what is the difference between Open Athens and open access?
Open Athens and open access, that's a good one. Well, Open Athens is a single sign-on service. So it authenticates your users to the resources that you subscribe to. Now, open access means that there are resources that are that the university, the institutions doesn't pay anything, directly. They don't use that subscription model. That's the difference. So, for example, we're talking about some databases like Australian Medicine's Handbook, for example. You have to pay a subscription to have access to that database. What we mean about open access when you hear that is that it's they don't follow that subscription model. So it's kind of that movement came with Europe a few years back, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we have another one that just says, do new users need to wait for an approval from the admin when they register to Open Athens?
The users, if we're talking about Open Athens accounts, then as I showed, the administrator, the librarian will create the account, the personal account, they expire the account, and a link will be sent to the end users with an activation code. And they will have to click that link actually to activate their accounts.
We just have another one that says, is it possible to drill down statistics per article? Let's say we purposely bought an article ABC and we want to know the statistic user download for that specific article.
No, and that's for privacy reasons. So you have to think Open Athens as a key to unlock the door of a building. So you can go to any room in the building, but we don't track which building you go to. So for example, after you log in, let's say to Clinical Key, then you go from one article to another. We don't capture that data, but you have that data because of when you get the counter reports from the publishers. So the counter reports from the publishers show the downloads that shows the access per article. Now, we always here in Open Athens try to make the service better, and what we are working on now is the reports API. So that means that we want to export that data from the reporting module to any system that you have, like Tableau, for example. So what will that do is that if you have Tableau, for example, and you import the data from the counter reports, and then you have the capability to export the data from Open Athens, then you will have a really good idea who is using what, but also in the same system, you will have the counter report along with Open Athens. We are working on that, but I can let you know where we are in that stage and where that will be ready. Just we can follow up, Vinny, or you can send us an email so that I can get back to you.
We just have another one that says, what are the key differences between Easy Proxy and Open Athens?
Well, the key difference is that technology. So Easy Proxy uses that IP recognition that I talked to, while Open Athens, we use that SAML technology. So a few things that are different. When we talk about the users, for example, if you use a proxy service, things break down if the traffic increases, too much. And we had that, feedback from some libraries. because now with the COVID-19, the last few months, lots of users went to access resources remotely. So the proxy cannot, it's a proxy and they cannot handle that traffic. You don't have that problem with OpenAthens. I show you as a remote user, I logged in pretty, very, very easily. Now, another thing to consider is that when you use something like Easy Proxy, if a publisher makes a change, you as a librarian have to make a change. So if they change something on their website, you have to work on that configuration file to work and make that change. And that's a lot of work. With OpenAthens, you don't have that. If we're talking about federated resources, that's, there's no need to do that. But even with the proxy resources that, we have a managed proxy service and we do that work for you. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to install anything. We have the personnel to deal with these proxy configuration files. Then another thing that is very important is what I show you about the reporting capabilities of OpenAthens. So, with Easy Proxy, you have now, I think they have a reporting module, but it's mainly the logs that they represent. So it's limited. With us, you can be as creative as you want to be. For example, if you want to have statistics for the alumni or for international students, or for how many students get specific grades, for whatever you can imagine, you can pass these attributes to us and we can report. So these are like a few differences, but again, I can send you an email with more detailed or we can jump on a call and I can talk to you more extensively.
Perfect. Okay, so I think we're probably there's just 2 more questions, but it'll probably be easier to follow up with those ones afterwards, and we should probably start to wrap everything up now. So there are just 2 more questions, but we'll get back to you after the webinar. I was just wondering when
Yeah, sorry, I saw that question, the difference between remote access and OpenAthens, and again, I can follow up and I can explain the differences and what the benefits of OpenAthens is. Or again, we can jump on a call and talk about it more in more detail.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm not sure if Winnie's still there at the moment. I think she might want to say something just to follow up with everyone.
Yes, I think most of the questions are very meaningful, and thank you for coming to this webinar. And definitely I will put all the questions all in black and white, and we will definitely reply to all the attendees the answers. And obviously, if you want another more personal live demo with OpenAthens, please do let me know. Or I would have working with one of the local contractors, Ilham Pintar, and he's the owner of the Ilham Pintar is Mr. Nasrun, and he's on board today. And definitely we have one of a very reputable, very experienced consultant with Ilham Pintar, none other than Mr. Calvin Law, formerly from Mexico, and he has joined us this month, and I'm very proud of him. And I think with them, we will bring OpenAthens to a further milestone. So anything at all, please do write to me, and I'll put my email address to any of us, to Kelvin, me, and Onasron, or even to Christos. So we will answer all the questions and all the requirements from after this webinar. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So that's everything from us now. And yeah, as I said, we will definitely follow up with everyone if we haven't managed to get around to you. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, good day.